okay, I can cut 20% out of the spreadsheet and I can shorten the schedule if you want, but do you want to know the truth, or do you want to know what I really think, what you want to hear? And the bottom line is that as an engineer, if you want to cut cost, you've got to cut requirements. You take away some requirements, then things get shorter, things get cheaper. But in the end, it's a zero-sum game. You design to requirements, it's going to cost a certain amount and take a certain amount of time. This is pertinent, I think, to Constellation. They've already de-scoped cargo from Orion, in part because of the credibility and optimism that the commercial vehicles would be becoming available. It seems fairly obvious to me that if there are budget constraints at NASA, which clearly there are, and if the end game here, the objective, is not ferrying people to and from space station, but the moon and Mars and beyond, then do that and let us, the commercial sector, rise to the challenge. It's good for the country, it's good for national security, and it's good for NASA because it lets NASA focus on its end game, on its main objective, and do it with existing money or less money than it would otherwise take, and do it sooner because you're taking requirements off the table. So I would definitely, and I definitely agree with Mike that there should be more than one commercial provider, because ultimately commercial precepts will only apply if there is more than one option. So although as business development at SpaceX I want the whole pie, sorry Frank, but the bottom line as a space enthusiast before I went to SpaceX, the really important thing, the thing that gets me excited about SpaceX, is not the Falcons or the Dragon spacecraft or even Crew. It's the point that we're proving. That's the seminal thing that's being done here. It's that a small company with finite funds in a limited amount of time can do something that's previously been considered the domain of national governments.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Sorry, that was one thing. The second thing I would say was just the, following on from that, was the, I think that commercial enterprise should be more integrated into the entire Constellation architecture in a similar way. So instead of Constellation doing transportation to and from station, let commercial enterprise do it, and then look at ways that commercial enterprise can do commercial services to enable Constellation to get more done with less money in the long term, as well as just that specific crew transportation development.
Thank you.
That's it.
Frank?
Thank you. As far as the recommendations that I think should come out of the Augustine Commission, theirs are going to be primarily focused at NASA and what NASA should do. What we should do on the commercial side is make sure that we are ready to do what will be required. And to build a little bit on what Max said, a commercial enterprise not only requires multiple providers, it also requires multiple customers. And so we have got to continue to try to build the consumers or encourage the consumers and look for ways to be creative in providing our services and our products to the world. And so that's one of our jobs. As far as the Augustine Commission goes, I firmly believe that they need to recommend to NASA and to the government that they make a quick decision on the future of the International Space Station, not only to extend it, but how it will be used in the future, and so that the commercial world can figure out how they're going to support it best. The other part, I think, is that they should insist that NASA and the government, Capitol Hill and the White House, set realistic goals to accomplish in the coming decade, let's say, given the realism of the budget and where it really is going to go, and make sure that we don't set goals for the agency that almost guarantee that it cannot succeed. There's nothing more demoralizing to a team than to be told, you got to go take that mountain, but we're not going to give you any equipment to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's a large part of what we're dealing with in this community.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions? Jim Fetta. Can you identify yourself?
From Aerospace Corporation. Since we're talking about options, I had this idea prompted by something in Mike Gold's instead of Ferraris, you should say, how many Tesla Roadsters can you buy for that amount of money? And then you take those cards, distribute them around to all the nice people in the space community, and then Elon Musk takes the profits, funnels them into SpaceX, and we're off we go. So
I think we've got a deal.
Yeah, see, Tesla's so cheap, I couldn't fit it in the chart. It would have been, you know, a bazillion.
even better.
Yeah.
My name is AJ Kutari from Ashdocs Corporation. The economic situation, the way it is right now in the country, and don't know how far it's going to go. But I was wondering here, there is some way that we people can make a case to the administration that space, whether the development of space destination or space transportation or any of those kind of ventures can make an economic case to the administration or the country. And that would probably, get the administration more interested. I think, my gut feeling is that it's going to require something like that for the administration to be really interested in us people and what we want to do, what we want to achieve, what we want to do. So somehow, can we tie this, or can we strategize about tying it up to the economic, I don't mean economic stimulus per se, but the economic situation and in that sense.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. You know, in the end, everything's about jobs, okay? The stimulus funds, politically, that's what people care about. And frankly, you know, and Patty made some excellent remarks to start out, we've lost the commercial space race, okay? America used to be #1 in terms of commercial space flight. We were the only one. This year, we went from being #1 to having none. And I think the importance of, you know, what we're talking about with ULA and with SpaceX and with Orbital is that, and as Frank said, you don't want just one customer, particularly if that customer is the government, because that breeds lethargy and inefficiency. We need to get America back into the commercial game. We need to have people coming to America to launch, not to Russia, not to France. And that's what the private sector and this commercial activity can provide, and it's very important that that point be made politically. And I would encourage you to come to the Augustine Commission. I think yesterday it was excellent that they took questions from the audience. That's a degree of openness that I've rarely seen. So I think Augustine provides an excellent opportunity for us to make that case. We'll certainly be talking about the economics when we meet with Augustine, and I would encourage all of you as private citizens, as the opportunity is there, to make that case to them as well.
One other postscript on that, the organization Patty used to lead, the Commercial Space Office in FAA, has a group called ComStack that deals with just those questions quite frequently, and in line with what I said, trying to understand the obstacles or barriers to grow in this business. And ideas you have in that can be brought to forums like that, to the Augustine Commission, write your congressman. Removing those barriers is a big step towards enabling us to regain the leadership that we've lost in certain areas and to maintain it in the ones where we still have it. But we do have barriers to being competitive with the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I can just add a quick comment on that as having been in the government for quite a while before leaving. When you're a government employee, you cannot lobby Congress, and that's appropriate. I'm not anymore, so let me just say that what constituents have to say means an awful lot. If constituents don't see this, and we're all constituents, we all are, it is our money that pays government employees, our taxes. If we don't see this as an imperative, the people who represent us aren't going to see it as an imperative. And many, many offices, when I made rounds on the Hill, I was told that this is not a bread and butter issue. I'm not hearing from my constituents on this. The jobs that are lost in agriculture is a bread and butter issue. So we've got to turn the temperature up a little bit and make the case that it is imperative that we regain our leadership in space, that we look to the future